So this is what the shape is looking like so far. And compare it to some samples online. And there's a lot more work that has to happen here on the rails. So this notch up is looking pretty nice. I don't want to come any more up on the lower piece, so this is out. I already angled up the bottom. So I think the thing that I can do, like some of these ones come down too sharp, and all the detail wood is just going to be just a tiny hair of a piece here. So that's not going to work for me. So something that preserves some of that face wood that I put on there. Something like this, something like this, something like that. So anyhow, I was thinking about bringing this corner down a bit. So on the board, I have to draw two lines where that curve is. Draw the two lines and then cut down, and then cut this edge, and round it out. So that's what's coming up next. So that first line is going to be about here, and the other line is going to be about here. So that's what's happening. So basically, take a curve measure here, and I put some tape here, and I put some pencil marks where the tape is. Basically, when I pull it, this is the corner that's coming off, and gives me a nicer rail profile. The tip out as I get in a steeper angle is getting terrible. So this is going to be a lot of filler here. It's going to weigh on the board. So I'm just going to have to go with the fatter rails. Trying to see if we can take a look at the pattern on the thin frame box elder. Probably the other side would look a little more clear, the sunlight on it. It's going to fade. I'll put tape on it soon. So it's got to come down a bit here off the corner. We'll do that with the sander. So coming in at the back end here, I did the same for the other side. They're matching up pretty nicely. Here's the second side. Not paying too much attention to what's happening on here because that's the buckling of the deck. generally looking at the rail shape, looks pretty good. This is the next rail up. Let's see how much they match. Pretty good. So for this marker here, we're seeing that this part here might be because of the dips in the rail, not the rail, but the deck. So if we're looking at this curve, if I don't move it around, looking at the curve, that looks pretty close. Here's where we're starting to see a difference. So if we look into this corner, this has more, well, this one has more cut out than this one. So I have to trim off the edge on this side, I think. For this next section, we're seeing more of the same. So again, that side is about higher by a hair, maybe a 16th. So here's the next section forward. Let's see how that is too much. So it looks good. Here's the next section up. We're getting closer to the nose. Let's see how well this matches up. Looks like something's happening over here on the bottom. Yeah, these two aren't really matching up here in that corner. So I gotta take a bit off the back there. Okay. Here's the next section here. So we'll see how much this is matching up. So it looks like the corners are matching up nice. Here we are, next section up. Maybe I should probably look at it from this way. This is the next section coming up. So let's take a look. Yeah, looks pretty good to me. Here we're seeing just visually a huge difference between the two sides there. But I didn't do so much work up front here, so that makes sense. And well, if you're looking at the corners, they look, no, this one in the back is cut in more, so actually this one over here needs to be cut down more. But this is going to get more shaping anyway, so I'll just go ahead and put an X here. So I buzzed this side down a bit, so now it's coming in a lot closer to how I want it to be, which is even Steven. So yeah, I think we're there. I'm going to try and see what's going to happen when I put a sander to some of this stuff here. Test. I'm going to take a piece of veneer and see how much I can sand before it becomes nothing. This isn't paper backed, so I don't have to worry about burn through, other than burning all the way through to where there's no more wood. But this looks promising. So the seam kind of vanishes a little bit. So you have this kind of wrinkle. So looks like that can roll down. Let me see. So much. There's the high side. So on the high side, I'm going to come at it this way, and over here we'll see the high side is over here, so I'm going to come at it from over here. I saw a bit online where it took them like 20 minutes to sand through veneer with a small handheld sander with an 80 grit, and they had to use like the big giant powerful sander, and that took them like 4 minutes. So I think I'll be okay with. So I'm doing it to a point where I don't feel a sharp ridge anymore, because I still have to come back and sand the whole thing. So that's when it'll get more of an even sanding. But I think, like, here's a high side, and I try to get rid of that. No more ridge, but it becomes less noticeable. And as the subsequent passes come through, I think it'll really start to blend with some of the other parts. So most of it came out. So I made a mistake of buying this. This is on the shelf this way. So wood putty. I could fill gaps with this. I usually make my own filler, but I didn't happen to save any of the dark wood sawdust. So I bought this and I put it in my basket and I go on my way. And I go and I fill all these little cracks. And then I was just kind of lingering and said, oh, I wonder if it's done yet. And I turn it to the side and I see this. It says, will not harden to a sandable surface. Like, that doesn't make any sense. And I look in and it says, never hardens. It's like, what is the point? I mean, wax. So now I gotta clean all this out, sand it, clean it out with some. So I'm running strips of sandpaper through here to clean it out, and I'm widening the gap. And this stuff also stained my wood. So super duper pissed. If you have reading skills, use them. Read those labels. And now I'm going to get some denatured alcohol and the back end of my blade. I'm going to push into cracks that way. So some of the fixes that I did resulted in some unsightly squeeze out of the poly glue. It doesn't jump out so much here. We're going to get back to that one. But some of it stands out a whole lot here. And I usually deal with yellow glue with my chisel. But this space isn't really conducive to that. A blade. But this is too thick for that. So I'm going to try my file. These files tend to be brittle. They break real easily. So I had to be careful. Looks like it's scratching up the wood a lot. Not really doing a whole lot for what's on there. So I might just have to just do some of it with the blade. Slowly coming off. This part is going to be harder for the blade. Let's see. Cut the glue off. I think that's what has to happen. Yeah, okay. And then I have to scrape the residue. So this is going to be tedious, so that's the general idea. I need both my hands to do this, but that's the idea. So when it looks like a high spot, so I'll sand it on this side of this high spot, like I did over here. And on the underside is this high spot and this high spot. So I'll sand it from this side on those ones. Here's the fix where that big chip out was. Not bad, it still ended up being a little off here, but all in all, better than the big chunk that was there. Basically what I did here is I put some glue, I put a piece of veneer, I just thumbed it in there real tight, tipped it in, let it dry. Then I just hit it with a sander and get all the spots that didn't fit in. I smooth the edge. I think it's good enough for this.